It's Sandy back again for another video. I think we're up to number 6 now. I'm a couple days late recording this, but here I am. And I wanted to say welcome to all my returning people and welcome to anybody new who's just finding me. I appreciate all the watchers, all the comments, all the likes, and I've really been enjoying doing this and doing the cross stitch, so I want to keep on, and hopefully we'll have some friendships. So I've got a lot to talk about today, so I'm going to jump right in and get going on it. I have my notes over here, and so the first thing, my health. In the last videos, I was talking about that I was going to have a PET scan done because my CAT scan had showed some abnormalities. And I didn't get into any details about that, but the PET scan came back abnormal also. It was kind of scary for a while because I was getting email messages from my doctor and calls from his medical assistant, but I really wasn't getting any true answers. And you can't ask a medical assistant a question because they're not going to have the answers for you. So finally, in the last email that the doctor sent me, he said, you can call, make an appointment, come in, and we'll discuss all this. So that was what I did. I saw the doctor yesterday, and he really set my mind at ease about some things. I was so afraid that they were going to tell me I had cancer. And basically what it is that I have a mass in my pelvic region that is about 1 inch, very small. When they did the PET scan, it didn't light up and show it as being a malignant cancer, but it did light up and showed that there was something going on there, a lot of inflammation. So at first they told me I was going to have to see an oncologist, and the first appointment that I could get was like at the end of October. So I was thinking, oh my gosh, I'm going to have to worry about this for over a month. But in talking to the doctor yesterday, what they've now decided is that I should see a surgeon first. So I would go to see a surgeon this Friday, which will be the 29th of September. And they said that basically the surgeon is going to look at me, look at those CAT scan and PET scan results, and make a decision whether they think that it needs to be biopsied, whether they need to just go in and remove it, or whether to take a wait-and-see attitude and maybe check it again later. But because it does show inflammation, my doctor is thinking they're probably going to either want to go in and take it out or biopsy it. So I have that coming up on Friday, and I'm a little bit apprehensive about it, but I'm looking at the bigger picture, and what I'm thinking is originally when I got sick, it was something totally unrelated to this mass. I had a urinary tract infection, and then they found this. So what I'm thinking is that maybe this was that urinary tract infection, maybe this was meant to be that they would find something in the very, very early stages so that it could be handled with a minimum of muss and fuss. And so that's how I'm choosing to look at this, that this may have been a lifesaver. And I've had some of those situations before in my life. I know a lot of you are talking about the 20 things, and there's no way I could sit down and talk about 20 things about me. And so I thought maybe I'll tell you about the one. And that was my other life-saving situation. And this happened back in 2012. And I was, of course, still working back then. And I used to have Fridays off. I had asked to work 4 days a week, and they were working with me and letting me work 4 days a week. So my husband and I had gone to a place called the Splash Zone. Oh, my kitty cat is wanting to come in, so hold on just 1 second and let me let him in. All right, come on. All right, you have to behave now. Do you want to come over here and be on the camera? No, okay. That was Buddy. Okay, so we had gone to the Splash Zone, and I was walking the indoor track, and he was shooting hoops, basketball. And as I was walking around the track, all of a sudden I started feeling a pain in my left chest. And I thought, oh, that's weird, and that really hurts. But I am the queen of denial, let me tell you. So I kept walking, and after a little bit, I started feeling a pain kind of going down the left side of my arm. And I was like, well, that's not good. And then all of a sudden, I felt this huge rush of acid up into my throat, heartburn. And I'm still walking, mind you, and I'm thinking to myself, wait a minute, left heart pain, maybe, pain shooting down my arm, heartburn, this sounds like heart stuff. So I continued to walk on around the track until I got over to where my husband was, and I walked out there and I said, you know, something really strange is happening. And I told him, and he said, well, go sit down. He's in denial too. And so I went and sat down, and after a couple minutes, everything went away. So I drove home because I usually do most of the driving. And then during the night, I woke up at like 4 o'clock in the morning, all the same stuff happening. And I laid there for about a minute, and it stopped, so I went back to sleep. In the morning, got up, and my husband and I drove uptown, and we were walking. We would do this a lot. We would walk the streets. It happened to be in August, late August, and I remember the exact date that all of this started. It was August 25th because that is my father's birthday. And he's been gone since 1990, but I always remember his birthday. And so we're walking, and we got about a block, and all the same things started again. Chest pain, pain shooting down my arm, heartburn. And I'm like, to my husband, I says, we better go back to the car and see if we can get a hold of the doctor. So we knew that there was a walk-in clinic at our doctor's office. So we called, and they told me, we'll come right in. I should have gone to the emergency room. But because I'm always in denial, I went to this walk-in clinic. So they told me, basically, they did an EKG, they did a chest x-ray, and they said, you know, we want to check because you could have had a heart attack. And I said, no, there's no way. Well, they came back, they said, no, no heart attack, but something's definitely happening here. So they set me up to come in on Tuesday to have a stress test. So I went the rest of the weekend. Didn't have any recurring episodes, but I wasn't doing any exercise. And on Tuesday, I went in and had the stress test. And during the stress test, I had pain in my chest so bad that I didn't know whether I would be able to keep walking. And the doctor stood there and said, keep walking. It will help us with the test. And they stood on 2 guys on either side of the treadmill to catch me if I went down. And they said, well, we're here. If something happens, we're here to help you. So I went through the whole test. I had echocardiogram. I had every kind of heart test there was. And they called me a few days later, and they'd also given me a prescription for a statin and a heart pill and a nitro. Well, after I had the stress test, I had constant chest pain. Every time I bent forward, I had chest pain. So I was popping nitros like they were going out of style. And they told me just keep taking them. And so they called me and they told me, your test was really, really bad. You need to see a cardiologist. Well, by this time we're into Labor Day and, you know, offices being closed and so forth. And they said, well, they couldn't get me in right away. And while I'm having these chest pains, I probably should have gone to the emergency room. Hindsight is 20/20. So I finally get in to see the doctor, the cardiologist, and he starts looking at my tests, and he's going, and I said, what? And he says, you have a blockage. He says, I can't tell from these tests how bad this is, but you've got a blockage. And he says, and it's in the major artery, the one they call the widowmaker. Well, that kind of scared me a little bit. And then he looked at me and he looked at my husband and he said, if she has any more heaviness in her chest, any more chest pain whatsoever, he says, take her to the emergency room immediately. And I said, and he says, probably call 911, because if she has a heart attack, she's not going to live through it. The widowmaker is bad. And I was like, well, I have this heavy feeling in my chest all the time. And he said, are you having it right now? And I said, yeah, it's like it doesn't go away. I've had it all summer. I thought it was from the humidity. And I says, because I've always had a problem in the summer with humidity. And I've always kind of felt like there was an elephant sitting on my chest. He said, he looked at me, he looked at my husband. He said, you leave here right now. You take her to the emergency room. We're having her admitted, and she's not leaving the hospital until we do the heart cath. And so my husband drove me to the hospital. We got checked in. I stayed there. They put a nitro patch on me. They watched me. I was only allowed to get out of bed to go to the bathroom. And I was in there the whole weekend. And then on Monday, they did a heart cath and found a 99.9% blockage in the widowmaker. They put a stent in. And then after I woke up from the whole thing, they told me that I was the luckiest woman alive. That what had happened was not supposed to happen. That any other person would have had a heart attack with that type of a blockage and would have died. All I could say was that somebody up there was watching out for me. And I think it's happening again now. And I'm going to let that go now. That was my thing. Okay. This weekend, I got to see both of my kids. As I've said before, I have a daughter who's in her 40s, and I have a son in his late 30s. I had only seen my son at Christmas time and at our family reunion in June. He always tells me he's so busy. Sometimes it breaks our hearts, but you know, how are you going to argue with him? He had left his prior job and gotten a job where he was working 60 hours a week. He has a live-in girlfriend, and he probably was really, really busy. That job, he found out he couldn't handle it, so he went back to his old job. So he's back with a Subaru dealership because he is a Subaru tech. My daughter is a single mother with 3 girls. And so I got some pictures and I put them on Instagram. So if you follow me on Instagram, you saw my pictures, but I just want to share real quick because I'm proud of my kids. And I saw my son on Saturday, so his pictures first, and his name is Mike, and this is Mike and Candace, and I don't know how well that picture is gonna, maybe. But there they are. She has a smile that would light up the world. And then I saw the girls on Sunday for lunch. And the middle one, it was her 17th birthday on the 19th. So we were out to lunch for that. And the light on these pictures, I don't know. The girl over here on this side, this is Marissa, and she just turned 17. Then there's my daughter, Christy, and then Brianna, who is 14. And then on the end over here, which, looking at it, it looks like she's getting totally washed out. Blonde, blue hair. Blonde hair, blue eyes, and it just looks like the sunlight has just wiped her right out of the picture. But that is Miranda. She's 20. She's in her 3rd year at Ashland University studying psychology. And as you can tell, 2 of those girls are darker, and Miranda is the blonde with blue eyes. They have there's 2 fathers involved. And the younger girls, their father is half Mexican, so they've got that little bit of Mexican blood in there, which gives them that really dark hair. Love them all to pieces. Miss them when I don't get to see them, but I got to see them this weekend, so it was a really great weekend. And why I didn't do my video on Sunday. Okay, now we are going to get into some of the things. First of all, I won a contest. Bendy Stitchy, Michelle Garrett, is giving away a whole lot of charts from magazines that I think she picked them up on eBay or at a thrift store or something. And I won Spring Floral. So I am looking forward to doing that sometime here in the future. So thank you, Michelle. I really appreciate that. Then I want to get started on my whips, but first I wanted to mention Quaker Diamond. As in my previous update video, I had told you that I got it, and I got the Classic Color Works and Weeks Dye Works to do it, and some fabric. And I had mentioned something about when she showed it to me, it was a full yard, and everybody was going, "Oh wow, you really got a really good deal." Well, it was still a good deal compared to having to purchase the silks to do that, or the Valdani threads to do that. But when I opened everything up, she had cut a piece of material to give me from that yard. So I didn't get the whole yard, but it was still, I'm still happy. And I got what I needed. So just wanted to clarify that. I'm not quite the shopper that everybody kind of thought I was. Okay, so I don't think I've showed you the pamphlet for the Stony Creek Outhouse collection before. You have 4 outhouses here on the front, and you have 4 outhouses on the back here. And I had previously completed this one here, Occupied, and that one is all done and finished, but it's not FFO'd because I'm waiting till I'm done with all of the ones that I'm going to do for my bathroom so that I can frame them all at once. And Fits All Sizes here is all done except for the back stitching. I think the last time I showed it to you, I had just a tiny little bit to do at the very bottom. And let's see if I can get that in there for you. And so I'm really happy that I got that taken care of. And then my next one that I was kitting up was Side by Side right here. And Sandra Stitches on Instagram had ordered the booklet too, and she was going to do that, and she calls that one Ma and Pa. And so she invited me to do a Saturday stitch along where we would stitch that on Saturdays. So I started it, well actually I screwed up the first Saturday. I couldn't put my cardinals down. And so I stitched my first Saturday on Sunday. And then I stitched on it this last Saturday. And I am there. And if you follow Sandra Stitches on Instagram, you'll see that she's quite a bit further than me. She's probably a faster stitcher or stitched longer. I don't know which. I am a slow stitcher. And then she was going to stitch on it yesterday also. and I have too many other things going on, so mine will be sitting there until Saturday. Okay, my next, oh, and I was going to say that the side-by-side that I'm working on here, the Mod Podge, this is 14 count green DMC Charles Craft, whichever you want to call it. Okay, then we have my Dimensions kit, Bayside Cottage, and I did some work on that. This is 18 count Ada, and I used everything that came in the kit. I'm going to pull that. I have a back stitching thread right there, so I'm going to kind of pull it out of the way. But here is where I am at with that. It's coming right along. And the 18 count is working for me. It is a little bit of an eye strain, but if it gets to be too much, I just put it down and pick up something that's 14 count. But I'm enjoying that. Then we have my Spring Cardinals. And Spring Cardinals is all finished except for the back stitching. And I did a little bit more back stitching on that. I didn't back stitch at all this last week. I don't know, it was a bad week for me with all this stuff about test results and everything. So, but anyways, here is my Spring Cardinals, and I'm getting there. I do have to put in a little bit more time on that. I have, if I can show you here, I've got some back stitching here in this flower, and there's some more in the basket, and along the this right here, in here, all of this in here needs to be back stitched. So I will try to get to working on that, and maybe the next video that will be finished. Okay, then my Artisy Shades of Summer. I absolutely love this. It's like once I start stitching on this, I don't want to put it down, but I think about all my other whips and how they may be crying, and I do. And something funny, the last time that I showed you this, I only had a little bit of stitching in it. I showed it to you in the wrong direction. I held it up, I think, like this, and I was supposed to be holding it up like this. I'm going to fold this a little bit so it's not quite so unwieldy here. And I've got some hanging threads. But all of that sky and those clouds, it was starting to get a little bit tedious, but when that would get a little bit much for me, I'd move over and do some of the dark. And that is so confetti heavy that it's a slow go, but I love doing it. Okay, now, and that's 14 count white Ada. Spring Cardinals is 14 count white Ada. Now, I had 2 new starts, and the reason why is I belong to Crested's Finish Line, and they had a witchy sale and a fall sale or Halloween sale. And the patterns were in this book, and there's only tiny little pictures, and I tried to take pictures and they were too blurry because they were too tiny, and I don't know whether it's going to be much better trying to show it to you here. Where is the witch? It must be on the next page. Yes. All right. Here is the witch, and it's this one right here. The little witch stirring the cauldron. I thought that was so cute, and these are small. I picked small things to do for the sales because I had these other big projects. And here is where I am at with my witch. If you can see that. I hope so. And it's fun. There's a lot of black in there, but there's enough other colors. And then there's going to be a lot of white because her apron goes down here. I've got some of the white in there and it goes down. So a lot of white. And I hate doing white on cream or white on white. It's rough on the eyes. And then the one that I chose for the fall sale, and I think this is just adorable. It is so cute. I chose this one right here. Right there. The little scarecrow with the fence and the pumpkin. And I just thought that was so cute. And I've made a little bit of progress on that. And that's my phone ringing in the background. Made a little bit of progress. And I still have it in the hoop because I'm going to work on this today. But hopefully you can see it. A lot of white. Again, a lot of white on white. But there's... Again, when I get tired of working on the white, I go to a colored spot. And then I go back to the white. So I'm going to continue on with that. So that and those fabrics were the witch is on 14 count Aida, and the this one, the scarecrow is on 14 count vintage country cream from Witchelt. And it was a leftover piece from my Fits All Sizes, because that's what I did Fits All Sizes on, was that Country Cream Aida from Witchelt. Okay, so that takes care of that. And this book, it's Good Natured Girls, the Big Book of Holidays. And this was something that a friend of mine was downsizing. They sold their home. They had a huge camping trailer. I mean huge, one that has pullouts in it, and it's once it's parked, it has to be brought in a semi. Once it's parked, it's parked. And they had been spending summers down at this campgrounds, and they have family in Texas also. So they decided that they were going to sell their house and buy another big trailer, and have one in Ohio, where they have family here, and one in Texas, where they have family there. And so, of course, she had to downsize big time. So she decided she was not going to cross-stitch anymore. So she brought me all her stuff. And I posted a picture of all that stuff on Cross Stitch Finish Line long before I started doing these videos. And I went through, and there was floss, and there was charts, and there was this, and magazines, and all kinds of stuff. And a lot of the stuff that I didn't think I'd use, I took to the Goodwill store. And if I would have been doing these videos and watching Flosstube at that time, I would have known to save it, and I could have shared the kindness with all of you. But I didn't know about Flosstube when I first got that stuff from her. So, moving right along, I have been getting quite a few new subscribers. Thank you very much. I really appreciate that. And so I'm well over 100 now. And so I want to share a little bit of stitchy kindness. And so I don't know if you remember the tulips, the spring tulips that it's not tulips isn't in the name. I think it's called Springtime. And I haven't worked on that in the last couple weeks, so that's why I didn't bring it out to show it. But if you remember that one, the fabric that I'm doing it on, when I first bought that chart, I ordered 28 count, and I was going to try to do it on 28 count, and I couldn't see well enough. I put in some stitches and ended up ripping them out because after I got a couple of stitches in there, I couldn't see those little holes anymore. And I thought, rather than ruining this chart, ruining this fabric, I'm going to order another piece in 14 count. So I ordered the same thing in 14 count, and that's what I'm doing the tulips on. That material is, and I have to turn my page here so that I can follow my notes. That is Chalice Aida by Picture This Plus. And so I have this piece of 28 count. It's a 13 by 17. and I'll maybe hold it up here. It has the tag on it that I got from 123 Stitch, and it's a beautiful piece. It's not showing up that great. The color is not coming through at all, but it's kind of a peachy color, and I was very careful when I took my stitches out, so you can tell that there had been some stitches in it because those holes are opened up a little bit, but it's still a perfectly good piece of fabric that someone could do a chart on. And so if you are interested in a Stitchy Kindness gift of this 28 count Chalice Aida by Picture This Plus, in the comments below, just write in, I would love the Chalice Aida, or I would love the 28 count Aida, and I will send it to you. And if we get more than one person who says that they would like it, then I will randomly choose someone somehow, either with a random phone generator or with just writing everybody's names down and throwing them in a hat, whichever. But one way or the other, we'll get this out to anybody. And I am going to open this up to anybody. Doesn't have to be in the USA. I have not ever shared Stitchy Kindness yet, so I know that I have several people that are subscribing that are from the UK, and I don't know really if there's anybody from anywhere else in the world, but I will send this anywhere. Okay, now I also have, I told you before that I have a ton of magazines. Some of them are from way back, ones my mother used to get, some are ones I used to get, some are ones that came from my girlfriend when she downsized. I have been trying to go through them, and if there's anything in them that I think I might stitch, I'm setting them to one side. The other ones I'm piling up, and I thought I'd show them to you once in a while. What I'd like to do, I have two magazines. I would like to give these away to the same person. Same person gets both magazines. One is Better Homes and Gardens Cross Stitch and Country Crafts. And this is from September, October 1992. And there's that beautiful chart there on the front. And I am just going to do a real quick showing. Here's a Afghan with some beautiful flowers on it, and a pillow there, and all the charts are in here. There are some, here's some Halloween ornaments if you're interested in that. Here's they were doing a barn series, and here is a beautiful barn. And I'm not going to show you everything. I'm just going to show a couple of things. There are some stockings, Christmas stockings there. And there's so many more things. There's the sampler. Here is a Friends Welcome Neighbors. And that's all I'm going to show that one. I don't want to take up too much time. I don't like to make my videos really, really long. This one is Simply Cross Stitch, and it is the May-June issue from 1992. And here's that one. And let me see if I can pick out a couple of... here's some pot, they're showing them as pot holders, or they're flowers or herbs or something. Didn't pay that much attention. Oh, Black Eyed Susan is one of them. There are some items that can be done, and this is a jar lid cover. some of these are very, very pretty. They just not always to my taste, and since I am older, I know that I'm not going to live forever. I don't need to have more than I could ever handle. Here's something that is called To My Mother, and it says, if I can read it because it's hard to read, when I was little, you were there to wipe away my tears. You applauded my successes and calmed my midnight fear. You showed me by example the ways to happiness. I honor you and love you, Mom. You've given me the best. And that would be fabulous. If you're younger and you've got a mom to do that for, that would be perfect. Here's some little keychain bob things. And let's see. Here are some beautiful for towels or pillows or whatever. And I think that's all I'll include for that one. If you are interested in the 2 cross-stitch magazines, please leave me a comment below and say, I would love the magazines. And again, if it's just one person, I'll send them out to that person. If it's more than one, then I will put the names in a hat and draw someone out. Again, I will send it anywhere. Maybe in the future when I'm doing it, I'll say USA only, but for this first one, I'll see how much it costs me if I do send it outside of the US. If it's not that much, maybe I won't need to worry about it. I do want to share, though. If nobody wants it, then I guess they'll go to the Goodwill store. So I think that is just about everything that I had. Again, I want to say thank you to everybody for your kind comments. There was quite a few people that asked me, was I okay? What were the test results? Last week I could not have gotten on camera. I was a basket case. I was doing really weird things. I would be driving along and going somewhere and turn in somewhere it was nothing to do with where I was going. And then I'd be like, what am I doing? I think my husband was starting to wonder about me a little bit, but I was so anxious that I just couldn't function properly. But like I said, my mind is a lot more at ease. I feel very confident going to see the surgeon on Friday that it's not going to be a big deal. If I do have to get something done, I really don't want to have surgery. But if that's what they feel I need to do, then we'll do it. And I'll get better and we'll go on from there. So, again, thanks. I can't say that enough. I hear everybody out there saying thank you, thank you, thank you, and I agree. This is a close-knit community, and it just keeps getting better and better. That said, I have to add my disclaimer. I was watching some videos and I heard somebody say that they were like a perfect stitcher. And I thought, oh, that's not me. Do my stitches all lay flat? No. Do I sometimes bring my needle and in up through a thread? Yep. Do I care? Nope. I'm too old to sweat the small stuff. And I'm doing my things for me. I'm not doing them to enter them in any competition or fair or anything. And those of you that are doing your projects for that or to give them as gifts to someone very special, I applaud you for the extra effort that you put into making sure that all your stitches are flat and that you don't come up through the middle of the other threads, and the care that you put into it. At this stage in my life and with my eyesight's not getting better. It's only going to get worse until I get the cataract surgery. So it's fine. It is what it is. That's my new saying, in case I didn't tell you that before. I say that to my husband all the time. He'll say, but, and I'll say, it is what it is. You have to accept the things that you cannot change. You have to accept the people that you cannot change. And so those 4 words are my mantra. It is what it is. And I'm happy with it. And I'm accepting of it. So I'll see you guys all the next time. Please keep stitching, keep the frog away, and enjoy the coming couple of weeks. And I'll see you then. Bye, everybody.